Attention hunters and monsters of the New World. There is an invasive menace afoot. 1 second the skies are clear, the next, destruction. Today we observe an explosive adversary as we roll out the carpet for the rolling thunder. None other than the Flying Terror, Bazelgeuse.
Welcome to the Monster Matchup, the show where you get to know your foe from head to toe. Today we're looking at the monster with many names. Beetlejuice? Bageljuice? Bagelgeuse? Bazelgeuse. Oh, so cool. Now, he's sort of like that one friend, quote-unquote, from middle school who you didn't really want to hang out with, but they ended up tagging along anyway. Except this one has bombs, and he also attacks your other friends, which would be the other monsters. But seriously, this is another favorite of mine alongside Diablos, and some others we'll get to later. But now, we're talking about the goose. The goose is loose. Gimme that goose juice. What makes Bazel loved and hated by the masses all at once? Let's break into this magnificent pine cone and find out the innards as to why. 3, 2, 1, begin. Bazelgeuse is one of the few invasive species in Monster Hunter World thus far. That means there isn't a designated region where he can pull a Breaking Benjamin and blow me away. Ancient Forest? Not safe. Boom. Wild Spire Wastes? Death. Coral Highlands? Fair game. Rotten Vale? He's gonna make you wanna bail. Elder's Recess? Now you got Uragan Balls and Basil Bombs. Nowhere is safe.
The beatings will come! You will be beat! There is no escape!
Oh, and here's the best part. This is all most likely gonna happen to you when fighting other monsters. You wrestling Black Diablos trying to make the next installment to your online video series while thinking about what to do next and think to yourself, you know what if the answer to my worries falls right out of the sky as I'm recording? Hey, I got you. You'll know he's arrived from a couple different cues. There's the awesome theme song that kicks off with wailing violins as if it's a siren warning you that pine cone cometh. And if that doesn't get your attention, what will is the ridiculous spamming of his notorious roar, which is contender for most deafening screech. Basil Oregano's fighting capabilities include, but are not limited to, Drag My Skull across the sector, Grape-smashing Raffle Stomp, Fire Breath that could technically be called Wyvern Ignition because it can ignite stuff, and the signature move you know and love, the B-52 Carpet Bomb Wombo Combo! See these little sizzling thingamabobs? What are these? Some fine deviled eggs to twiddle your fingers at? Fool! Those are explosive scales that come from Basil's considerably long neck and his pretty thick tail. Once they're on the ground like this, it will ignite once hit by something, whether it be Bagel, a hunter, or another monster. This is where the Carpet Bomb of Doom comes into play. He'll go back and forth a few times, doing a little Salt Bay sprinkle of these things before crashing down to destroy your hopes and dreams. Upon landing, everything is set aflame, and when you make Bazelgeuse really angry, he lights up and his scales ignite by themselves. They can just also fall off on their own in the midst of battle too when they're like this, so if you down him in this state, just be careful when attacking his glowy bits. By the way, contrary to the label of bombs, Bazelgeuse does not cause blast blight, but rather it burns you, so get ready to channel your inner roly-poly. So, by and large, Bazel is a force to be reckoned with. So tell me, Gabe, how do we combat this marvelous monster? Well, to do that, young grasshopper, we must take a look at its weaknesses. First things first, what do we do for the Klondike bar that is keeping Bazel out of the fight that doesn't regard him? The answer is quite crappy. Why, Gabe, are you suggesting that we—
Well, of course we're going to throw poo at him.
Dung pods are going to be pretty darn effective. Just point at Bazel, fire away, and then they eat the poo-poo and fly to another sector. Hopefully it's not the same one your current quest monster is going to, so pack several in case they cross paths again, which they probably will. Now, I mentioned that B-52 will be in just about every region, Whether or not he invades Iceborne, we'll find out later. But each zone will have different monsters that can help you fight. Ranged weapon users will be even better off because they could keep their distance from explodey bits. Pierce ammo is also a nice touch for bowgun users, as it can punish Basil and his jiggling neck grenades. Bow users just do your thing. Just do your thing. Stopping this monster from using his bread and butter will definitely, tip the scales. Fire resistance, defense, and even earplugs will help against this monster. Maybe even stun resistance so you're not in one spot when there's a bunch of explosions around you. You can use flash pods to drop him before he drops you like a bad habit. And when he's down, keeping him still will be beneficial, so don't forget to give him the good old zippity-zappity with your shock trappities. And while he's down for the count, make sure to take advantage of his weak points. The head, wings, and tail are all weak points, with the head, tail, and legs being breakable and the tail being cuttable. Some things will be more effective than others in certain spots, like many monsters. Overall, ranged weapons will be best against all weak points, especially them wings. Element weaknesses. Wheeze. Soaking the eggs of death won't be all that effective, but the best means of elemental attack is to hit the rolling thunder with the damage of thunder, which means there's a perfect opportunity to grind the monster y'all know and love. Ailment weaknesses. Although it doesn't proc Blast Blight, Bazelgeuse is still resistant against blast damage, and stuns as well. Poison, sleep, and paralysis will all be relatively effective, but hey, you'll want all you can get when fighting this wee. So what do I think of it? Me gusta. I might not always want Bazelgeuse in the middle of a fight with me and another monster, nor do I want it belching me into submission with its consecutive roars, but he has enough of a distinguished personality that really makes him stick out. Some people will of course struggle more than others, but man, he's really cool. Final verdict? You know what would be a crazy idea? Fighting two of these guys tempered. Next time, we have finally made it, everyone. We are covering the legendary Elder Dragons. It's another favorite of mine and possibly the top one. It's really cool. Basil's really cool too, but this one's up there. I would like to give a special thanks to all of my lovely patrons, which include but are not limited to Unlucky Old Man of Herbs vs. Sexy Zero, and Alaskan Bullworm, Thresh, also known as Jared, Luna, Bradley Soul, Random, Max Root, and Ree. Thank you everyone for your support and thank you for watching. I will see you next time.